way. So buckle up, everyone, because today's deep dive is going to take us into a world that honestly leaves me kind of baffled. We're talking about the Fast and Furious franchise.
The Fast Saga.
Yeah, the Fast Saga.
That's what they like to call it now.
Right, the Fast Saga.
Yeah.
And we've got this this pretty in-depth report here that tries to analyze how a series that started as, street racing somehow morphed into, I don't even know what to call the later movies.
It's a head-scratcher.
It is a total head-scratcher.
Yeah.
But also like a massive global phenomenon.
Dude.
So, how does that even happen?
Well, that's what's so interesting about this report, right? It tries to unpack that. How does a franchise that seems to just get more ridiculous with every installment
Oh, it does.
manage to rake in billions of dollars worldwide?
Yeah.
And it's not just about the stunts getting crazier, though that's definitely part of it.
Right.
It's a whole shift in philosophy, a deliberate move from, somewhat grounded action to what they call dumb fun.
Dumb fun.
Okay. Yeah.
So the first movie, the original The Fast and the Furious, at least felt like it had, some roots in reality.
Right. It was a little rough around the edges.
Yeah.
It was gritty.
Tricked out cars,
Yeah.
rival crews.
Yeah.
That whole tension between, respecting car culture but also pushing it to the limit. But even the stunts, even if they were exaggerated, it felt like, okay, maybe.
It felt plausible.
Plausible. Yeah, like it could happen.
Exactly. There were stakes.
Right.
You felt like the characters were actually risking something.
But then somewhere along the line, things took a hard turn
Oh, yeah.
into, straight up defying the laws of physics.
Fast 5, things started to go a little off the rails. And by F9,
F9, oh my God.
cars in space.
I mean, come on.
You can't get more ridiculous than that.
It's like they're saying, yeah, we know this is absurd, but just shut up and enjoy the ride.
That's exactly what the report argues. It's like they're in on the joke.
Right.
They know it's ridiculous.
Simply like, come on, just have fun with us.
But the question is dumb fun enough? Is that a valid artistic choice?
Right. Can we just excuse bad writing and lazy plotting by slapping a dumb fun label on it?
And that's where things get really interesting, because this report digs into this whole idea of postmodern escapism.
Okay.
Right? These films tap into this very human desire to just switch off your brain and just enjoy the ride. And you can't argue with the success. Right. I mean, the box office numbers are insane.
Billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah.
So clearly it's working.
But it makes you wonder, what does that say about our culture?
That we're all just craving, mindless entertainment.
Yeah.
No substance, just pure spectacle.
That's a bit of a bleak thought, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
But then again, maybe there's more to it than that.
Maybe.
Because the report also talks about the cultural significance of the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not all about, explosions and car chases, apparently.
They're not all surface level.
Okay, so what else is there?
Well, one thing they highlight is the diversity of the cast.
Oh, right, yeah.
Which has definitely contributed to its global appeal. I mean, you've got actors from all different ethnic backgrounds representing a range of cultures. And it's not just tokenism either.
What do you mean?
They actually make an effort to weave those cultures into the story.
Okay.
The action, the music. Think about how they filmed in Rio for Fast 5.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They incorporated Brazilian car culture.
Right.
It felt like more than just a pretty backdrop.
So they get points for diversity. I'll give that.
Yeah.
But what about the actual substance of the movies?
Right.
Because the report mentions this whole family theme that they just hammer home in every single movie.
Oh, yeah. Family.
It's like their catchphrase.
Right.
Is that really what's resonating with audiences worldwide?
It's more nuanced than you might think.
Okay, how so?
Well, the report argues that it taps into this universal human need for belonging, for connection. In a world that can feel increasingly isolating, the Fast movies offer this kind of idealized vision of a chosen family. People who always have your back no matter how crazy things get.
I mean, that's a nice sentiment and all.
Yeah.
But their family also pulls off international heists and blows stuff up on a regular basis. It's a bit hard to relate to, don't you think?
Of course it's heightened. It's over the top.
Yeah.
But that's part of the appeal, right?
Okay.
It's wish fulfillment. It's a fantasy of belonging to something bigger than yourself, a group that accepts you unconditionally. And in a world where real-life families can be, complicated.
Oh, yeah.
Messy.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe there's a comfort in that idealized version.
Even if it plays out against the backdrop of explosions and car chases.
Exactly.
Right, so we've got the diversity, the family theme. But this report doesn't shy away from the criticisms either, does it? Because, let's be honest, there's a lot to criticize.
Oh, yeah. There are plenty of flaws.
Right.
One of the biggest ones is the lack of coherent storytelling. Oh, absolutely.
As the action gets more and more outlandish, the plots just become convoluted and nonsensical. It's like they're just stringing together set pieces.
Yeah, like they come up with the insane stunt first and then try to figure out a story around it.
Exactly.
Makes no sense.
And then there's the over-reliance on spectacle.
Ugh. Yeah.
It's like they think that bigger explosions and more improbable stunts automatically equal better entertainment.
Right, but at some point, it just becomes numbing.
Totally. You can only suspend disbelief so far.
Exactly. Exactly. And that ties into the whole issue of the increasingly unrealistic stunts. I mean, sending a car to space.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It's jumped the shark.
It's so over the top. At what point does it cross the line from fun escapism to just plain ludicrous?
Right. It's like they're actively trying to alienate anyone who's looking for, a little bit of depth.
Yeah, anyone who wants a story that actually makes sense.
Coherence.
Yeah, coherence.
The report actually argues that there's this danger of self-parody.
Like by constantly trying to outdo themselves,
Uh-huh.
they risk losing the very thing that made the franchise enjoyable in the first place.
Right. The fun.
Yeah.
The heart. The core of it.
The core.
So that brings us to the central question, doesn't it? Is the Fast and Furious franchise just a gloriously dumb, guilty pleasure?
Yeah.
Or is there actually something more to it than meets the eye?
Is it possible to be both dumb and brilliant?
Yeah. Like, can we enjoy it on a, surface level,
Uh-huh.
but also appreciate it for, maybe some deeper themes or something? I don't know. I'm so confused.
We're all confused.
I guess that's what we're trying to figure out here.
Let's see if we can unravel this mess.
Yeah, let's dive a little deeper.
Welcome back, everyone. So before the break, we were sort of wrestling with this idea of how the Fast and Furious franchise, despite all its flaws, and there are many,
Oh, yeah.
still manages to connect with audiences on a global scale.
It's a puzzle, right? Like, we talked about the diversity of the cast, which the report argues is more than just surface level.
Right.
But I'm still struggling with how this series, with its increasingly ridiculous stunts and paper-thin plots, actually resonates with people worldwide. It just doesn't make sense.
It is fascinating, isn't it? Because on the surface, you've got these over-the-top action sequences.
Yeah.
Cars defying gravity like it's nothing.
Well, it's an everyday occurrence.
Exactly. But underneath all that spectacle, the report suggests there's this, shrewd understanding of what connects with audiences across cultures.
Okay, so break it down for me. What's the magic formula, besides just, breaking the laws of physics?
Well, one element the report highlights is the way the franchise handles masculinity. It's interesting because it kind of subverts that typical stoic action hero trope. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the super tough guy who never shows any emotion.
Exactly.
Right.
But these characters, yeah, they're tough, they're skilled fighters, they drive like maniacs, but they're also openly emotional.
You mean all the hugging and the pronouncements about family? I gotta admit, it gets a bit much at times.
It can be a bit over the top, sure, but think about it. They're not afraid to show vulnerability,
Okay.
to express their feelings for each other. It's a different kind of strength, one that challenges those traditional notions of masculinity.
So it's action with a side of emotional sensitivity.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And the report suggests that this resonates particularly well with international audiences,
Right.
where those traditional gender roles might be even more rigid,
Right, okay, I see. So it's action, it's feelings, it's global appeal.
Yeah.
But is it all just a little too, simplistic?
What do you mean?
Like, the good guys are always good, the bad guys are always bad.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of nuances there.
That's true. The morality is pretty black and white, but the report argues that this simplicity is actually part of the appeal.
Okay.
Like, in a world that's increasingly complex and ambiguous, these films offer a clear sense of right and wrong. Good triumphing over evil. It's like a comforting fairy tale for adults.
With souped-up cars and gravity-defying stunts thrown in for good measure.
Exactly. And let's not forget the escapist element.
Oh, right.
These films provide a temporary escape from the stress and anxieties of everyday life. You can just switch off your brain, get caught up in the action, and for a couple of hours, just enjoy the ride.
Yeah, I can see the appeal of that in a world that feels increasingly chaotic and uncertain.
Absolutely.
But the report also dedicated a section to the criticisms leveled at the franchise, didn't it? We can't just ignore those.
Of course not. And one of the most common criticisms is that the family theme,
Ugh, yes, the family.
while effective in the earlier films, has become overplayed and almost manipulative in the later installments.
It's like they're using family as a shortcut to emotional depth,
Right.
a way to excuse any plot hole or character inconsistency. It's starting to feel hollow, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, there's a sense that they're relying on that one word to do all the heavy lifting, rather than actually developing the characters and their relationships.
Right.
And the report highlights how this can actually undermine the franchise's message of inclusivity.
Wait, really? How so?
Well, by constantly emphasizing this one very specific definition of family, they risk alienating viewers who don't fit that mold.
Right.
It reinforces this idea that there's only one right way to have a family,
Right.
which can feel exclusionary to people who have, chosen families, blended families, or non-traditional family structures.
So even the family theme, which seems like a strength on the surface, has its complexities and potential downsides. This is getting more interesting than I expected.
It's a layered issue for sure.
What else does the report critique?
It also delves into the franchise's increasing reliance on CGI and green screen technology.
Ah, yes, the overuse of CGI, a classic action movie problem.
Right. While it can be visually impressive, it can also create this disconnect between the audience and the action.
It's like you're watching a video game rather than a film.
Exactly. You lose that sense of visceral thrill, of real stakes. And that ties into another criticism. The stunts have become so outlandish that they've lost their impact.
Totally agree. It's like the law of diminishing returns,
Yeah.
The more they try to top themselves, the less believable and exciting it becomes. I mean, where do you even go after you've sent a car to space?
Yeah.
What's next? Cars on Mars.
That's the dilemma, isn't it? They've set the bar so high that it's hard to imagine what they could possibly do next to keep audiences entertained. And the report suggests that this might actually be the franchise's ultimate downfall.
Really?
By constantly pushing the boundaries of absurdity, they risk jumping the shark, alienating viewers who are looking for something more than just mindless spectacle.
So we've got this strange paradox, a franchise that's both incredibly successful and deeply flawed. It taps into universal themes, but often relies on simplistic storytelling. It promotes inclusivity, but reinforces a narrow definition of family. And it's visually stunning, but increasingly detached from reality.
It's a mess.
It is a mess. I'm more confused than ever. How do we even begin to reconcile all of this?
That's the million-dollar question, and unfortunately there are no easy answers. But perhaps the next section of the report can shed some light on this conundrum.
Okay.
It delves into the business side of the franchise,
Okay.
exploring how Fast and Furious has become this global marketing juggernaut. Maybe by understanding the business strategy, we can gain a deeper understanding of the franchise's cultural impact.
All right, let's shift gears then and dive into the world of Fast and Furious marketing. Buckle up, because I have a feeling this is going to be a wild ride. All right, so we've spent a lot of time in this deep dive talking about, the Fast saga and its evolution.
From street racing to literally space.
Yeah, space. It's insane.
It really is.
And we talked about the whole family thing.
Right, which is a whole other can of worms.
And, of course, we had to acknowledge all the criticisms because there are a lot.
It's a flawed franchise for sure.
Oh, yeah, deeply flawed.
Yeah.
But now, this report dives into something that I find kind of fascinating. The business side of this global behemoth, because you got to hand it to them.
Yeah.
Love it or hate it, they have built a wildly successful marketing machine.
It's a money-making machine.
It really is.
Yeah.
So, what's the secret? How did they manage to turn a, relatively modest car movie into this multimedia empire?
It's quite a story, actually. The report calls it a masterclass in franchise expansion.
Okay.
I mean, think about it. Over 2 decades, they've gone from that first film, which was basically about street racing and car culture, to sequels, spin-offs, video games, merchandise.
They got everything.
You name it, they've slapped a Fast and Furious logo on it.
So who is their target audience? Is it just gearheads and adrenaline junkies?
I mean, that's part of it for sure, but the report argues that their marketing has been incredibly savvy at cultivating a much broader fan base.
Okay.
They've tapped into those, universal desires for belonging, excitement, escapism.
Ah, yes. The things we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. So it's not just about the cars, it's about selling a feeling, a sense of community.
So they're selling family.
In a way, yeah, they're selling that idea of being part of something bigger than yourself,
Mhm.
of having people who always have your back no matter what.
Okay, I can see how that would appeal to people, even if it's a bit cheesy.
Right.
But how have they managed to keep this formula going for so long? I mean, 10 films and counting.
And they're showing no signs of slowing down.
It's crazy.
It is. But that's where their understanding of audience expectations comes in. They know what the fans want. The fast cars, the insane stunts, the family drama,
Explosions.
the explosions, of course. But they also introduce just enough novelty to keep things from feeling stale. New characters, new storylines, new locations.
So it's like a balance between familiarity and, like, surprise.
Exactly. They give you what you expect, but with a twist.
Art.
And it's worked. They've stayed relevant for over 2 decades, which is a feat very few franchises can claim.
So they're basically the cockroaches of Hollywood. They just refuse to die.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Okay, fair enough. But it is impressive. And they haven't been afraid to take risks to push those boundaries.
Like sending a car to space.
Yeah, like sending a car to space.
Which, let's be honest, was utterly absurd.
Ridiculous.
But also kind of amazing.
I mean, yeah, I can't deny that it was entertaining.
And that's what it comes down to, isn't it? They're not trying to win Oscars. They're trying to entertain. And they're doing a damn good job of it.
So if we had to sum it all up, what's the secret sauce?
Yeah.
How has this franchise, which seems to defy logic and good taste at every turn, become one of the most successful in cinema history?
It's a perfect storm of factors. They understand their audience. They're willing to embrace absurdity. They've got this commitment to diversity and inclusivity, at least on a surface level.
Right.
And they have this knack for delivering pure, unadulterated entertainment.
It's like they've tapped into some primal part of our brains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The part that just wants to switch off and enjoy the ride.
Even if that ride involves, cars flying through the air and defying the laws of physics,
Exactly.
it's almost admirable in a way. Even if I personally find the whole thing ridiculous, I have to respect their business acumen. They figured out how to create a global phenomenon.
I agree. The Fast and Furious franchise is a fascinating case study, not just in filmmaking, but also in marketing and in understanding what audiences around the world connect with.
It's a reminder that entertainment can be a powerful force.
It can bring people together. It can make us forget our troubles. It can even make us believe that a car can fly.
All right, folks, there you have it. Our deep dive into the Fast and Furious franchise, a journey that's taken us from the streets of LA to the vast expanse of space.
It's been a wild ride.
It really has. We've explored the franchise's evolution, its cultural impact, its business savvy, and its undeniable ability to entertain, even if it's often in a way that leaves us scratching our heads. We've looked at the good, the bad, the ugly, the just plain ridiculous, and we've tried to make sense of it all.
Because that's what we do here. We dive deep.
We do. But ultimately, whether you love it or hate it, the Fast and Furious franchise has left its mark on the world.
No doubt about it.
As the saga continues to expand, it'll be interesting to see if they can keep this momentum going or if they'll eventually, run out of gas.
Only time will tell.
But for now, we'll leave you with this thought. What does the success of a franchise like this say about our culture? What does it say about us as viewers? Is it a sign that we're all just craving mindless entertainment? Or is there something deeper going on, something that speaks to our shared humanity? Those are questions for you to ponder. We've done enough pondering for one day.
Our brains are fried.
Fried. So until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and try not to launch any cars into space.
See you next time.